Human trafficking is considered a form of modern-day slavery. So it's the exploitation of individuals. So these traffickers use methods of force, fraud, and coercion to compel individuals into forced labor or sexual, commercial sex acts against their will. And when you think about force, that could be violence or threats of violence or even kidnapping people into these situations. With fraud, you may lead the victim to believe that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them, right? So this could be the promise of a job, and then they get there, and it's not at all what they think. It could be domestic slavery, or they're forced to work in unsafe factory conditions where there's little or no pay. Coercion is a method that's frequently used by traffickers, right? So they manipulate the victims, they trick the victims, and so that could be threats of harm to the victim themselves or their family. In some situations, there are traffickers who may say, I gave you these drugs, right? Because many of our survivors have addiction issues and substance abuse issues. And so you're going to do what I said because you need to get well. I'm going to help you. Or if you go to the police, you could also be in trouble. So these traffickers are very skilled at what they do. There are millions of men, women, and children who have been victims of human trafficking and who are survivors. So these traffickers are looking for vulnerable populations that they can exploit. This could be women who have been victims of sexual or physical abuse. They could have substance abuse issues. They could have histories of childhood trauma, or also be victims of domestic violence. These traffickers are also trafficking or targeting children who have been physically and sexually abused, who are involved in the foster care system, and who may be homeless or runaways, right? The LGBTQ population is also at risk. So these traffickers are targeting our most vulnerable populations, and these are people who have grown up or are currently in impoverished conditions and are dealing with social discrimination. So I'm frequently asked about the differences between sex trafficking and prostitution. So with prostitution, you have an adult who is knowingly and willingly entering into this agreement for some type of sex act for a payment. I want to clarify that with children, that's not the case, right? There's no such thing as a child prostitute. Sex trafficking involves those methods of force, fraud, and coercion. So the sex trafficking victim, that survivor, is not entering into this willingly. This is something that they are made to do by the traffickers. They feel that they have no choice. So what I like to tell people is that it's important to treat all of these survivors with respect and empathy, because you never know how they've entered into this situation and what they've been through.